Hi viewers, welcome. Take a deep breath, because what you're about to witness is not just a story, it's a conflict, a quiet war between the powerful and the forgotten, a story of a small farming village, a canal, a company, and two men with very different intentions. Let's begin. It was early morning. The sun was barely peeking over the hills, and the fields of Cho Village shimmered with dew. Birds chirped. A dog barked in the distance. Life was still simple here, but not for long. A black car slowly pulled up on the dirt road, its tires crunching against gravel. The villagers turned to look, puzzled, nervous. From the car stepped James, tall in a sharp suit, a quiet confidence in his walk. He didn't belong here, and everyone knew it. Behind him followed a younger man with papers clutched tightly to his chest. His name was Lie Too Deep, but most just called him Deep. He adjusted his glasses nervously, trying to keep up. James, Deep, remind me, who are we meeting again? Deep, sir. His name is Mr. Duck. He's the farmer's representative. Very vocal. Doesn't trust the company. James, sighs. They never do. The village square was nothing more than an open area, surrounded by low houses and faded walls. Children paused their games. Elders stepped out to see what the fuss was. Mr. Duck approached slowly. Weathered skin, sun-hardened hands, the kind of man who spoke few words, but every one of them mattered. Duck, you're the one from the company? James, yes, CEO James. This is my assistant, Deep. We're here to talk. Duck, talk huh? Pauses, looks around at the villagers. It's noisy here. Let's walk. They strolled along the narrow path beside the rice fields. Deep lagged slightly behind, scribbling notes. Duck, you want to build a canal through our land? James, yes, approved by the state. It'll improve irrigation, transport, help the village grow. Duck, but it cuts through 12 homes, takes away our soil, our heritage. James, we'll compensate. Every family, 2 million dong. Duck stopped. He turned, looked James in the eyes. Hard. Cold. Duck, 2 million? That's what you think our land is worth. Deep glanced up, uneasy. Deep, sir, if I may, the issue is more complex. Some homes have more land, some less. Fixed compensation won't work. James, then what do you suggest? Duck, a full list. Every household. How much land they lose. Then we talk real numbers. James nodded. For a moment, there was a pause. A silence deeper than words. James, all right, give me the list. I'll review it myself. Personally. Duck calmly. Good. Because this isn't about money. It's about respect. And trust. You stepped onto our land. Now show us you belong here. As they walked back, a breeze stirred the fields. Children laughed again. Life returned, but tension still lingered. James glanced at Deep. James, did you see that, Deep? That man, he's more politician than farmer. Deep, maybe, sir. But he's also the voice of the people. The black car drove away slowly. Dust rose behind it. Back in the village, Mr. Duck gathered the elders. This isn't over, he said. But maybe, just maybe, someone's finally listening. The morning after James' visit, Cho Village was buzzing. Elders talked in hushed tones. Mothers gathered around well pumps. And Mr. Duck sat alone, staring at a folded map of his land. Meanwhile, far from the village, in a glass tower overlooking the city, James leaned back in a leather chair. A view of cranes, skyscrapers, and ambition. Deep entered the office, hesitant. Deep, sir, the household land data. I've compiled it. Every family, their property lines, even who grows what. James, half listening. Good. Email it. Deep didn't move. There was something else. Deep, sir, about Mr. Duck. He's influential, has connections. If we push too hard. James cut in sharply, the smile gone from his voice. James, this isn't about him, Deep. We don't stop because one man plays hero in a rice field. We move forward. Deep, yes, sir. James, come again. Set a meeting. City officials. This week. And Deep. Deep. Yes. James, send in John. Now let's talk about John. He wasn't from corporate. He didn't wear suits. And no one knew his last name. But if something needed to be done, quietly, John was the man James called. He walked in slowly, chewing gum, eyes sharp. John, you rang. James, I need you in Cho Village. Keep it low. Some resistance is forming. Find out who's stirring it up and why. John, Duck, James, yes, but not just him. Anyone standing in our way. I want to know. No surprises. John grinning. No problem. I'll blend in. James, and John, yeah, James, no violence. Not yet. John chuckled. No promises. 2 days later, back in the village, a stranger arrived. Rough clothes, faded cap. He claimed to be a laborer looking for work. No one suspected a thing. He introduced himself as Amba. Friendly, helpful, always listening. But every night, he'd send reports to James. Meanwhile, Duck was getting frustrated. The list had been delivered, but no response from the company. No calls, no letters, nothing. He gathered the villagers again. Duck, they think we'll stay quiet. Let them dig through our homes. But this land fed our grandfathers, and we won't give it up without a fight. Murmurs of agreement spread, but not everyone was sure. Mrs. Twee, a widow with 2 sons, raised her voice. Twee, what if the canal brings jobs? Water? Schools? Can we afford to fight this? Duck looked at her kindly, but firmly. Duck, if the canal helps us, fine. But not like this. Not by stealing. Not by lying. Elsewhere in the village, John, now fully embedded, followed Duck from a distance. Watching, listening. That night he called James. John, he's building momentum. Elders respect him. But there's a crack. Some families are willing to sell. James, calmly, exploit it. John, you want bribery? James, no, just persuade them. And if Duck becomes too loud, we'll make the noise stop. Back in the tower, James stared at a wall of photos, maps, charts, names, and one red circle around the word, Canal Point 3. That point, that specific location, held a secret. One James never told Deep. One no one in the village could ever know. Because underneath Canal Point 3 wasn't just land. It was something buried, something dangerous, and James would do anything to keep it hidden. Morning came heavy. Clouds blanketed the sky over Cho Village as if warning the people below. Something was coming, and it started with a knock on Mr. Duke's door. Knock, knock, knock. Duke opened it, expecting a neighbor. Instead, it was a man he'd never seen before. Rough face, broken smile, soft eyes that didn't match the rest of him. Morning, sir, the man said. I'm Ba. I'm working on the road crew. Thought I'd introduce myself. Duke nodded cautiously. Road crew? There's no road construction here. Ba, John grinned. Yeah. That same day, Duke visited the town hall. He demanded answers. The village clerk avoided eye contact. A few sheets of paper on her desk, marked confidential. Duke, I gave the company everything they asked for. Why haven't they responded? Clerk, Mr. Duke, I don't know what to tell you. You should speak to the city or the company directly. Duke, I did. They sent a messenger boy. No names, no titles. We deserve more than silence. The clerk hesitated, then leaned in. Clerk, whispering, Mr. Duke, they've already made decisions. There's a meeting next week. Not in the village. In the city. You're not invited. Duke's face darkened. Back in the fields. Ba wasn't planting anything. He was listening, watching, whispering to certain villagers. And slowly, people began to turn. First, it was Mr. Leem, a local woodworker. Then Mai, who needed medicine for her sick daughter. Ba's offer? Cash. Quick relocation. No strings. And for the first time, Duke felt alone. That night, Duke met with the remaining elders. Duke, they're dividing us, buying us. I don't blame the ones who took the money. I blame the people behind it. Old Grandpa Tien, nearly 90, spoke slowly. Tien, this isn't new, Duck. Years ago, they tried to move us for a mining project. We stopped them, but only because we stood as one. Another elder, Shilon, nodded. Shilon, then we stand again, but this time louder. Meanwhile, in the shadows, John watched everything unfold. He reported back to James. They're organizing, planning protests. Elders are backing Duck. But I can break them. Just say the word. James, not yet. Let them scream. If it gets media attention, we'll spin it. Human interest piece. Emotional. New canal brings life to poor village. James paused, then added coldly, James, but if Duck makes it personal, we make it painful. The next day, pain came, in the form of fire. Mr. Duke's barn, where he stored rice, tools, and documents, went up in flames. Villagers rushed to help. Buckets of water. Screams. But it was too late. Everything burned. Police said it was an accident. But everyone knew. That night, Duck sat alone. Ash in his hair. Smoke on his clothes. And then came a letter, slid under his door. No return address. One sentence. This is your first warning. Stay out of it. In James' office, Deep entered again, worried. Deep, you had his barn burned? James, no, I had it warned. Deep, this is going too far. James turned around slowly. Calm, deadly. James, too far? You think we're building a canal? Deep? No, we're digging up the past. And what's buried will destroy lives if it gets out. Deep stepped back, and for the first time, he realized he didn't know who he was working for. Back in the village, Duck didn't sleep. He didn't cry. He wrote, page after page, not to the company, not to the police, but to a journalist, an old college friend in Hanoi. And he ended the letter with one line. If I disappear, tell the world. The truth is under Canal Point 3. 3 days later, the rain hadn't stopped. Neither had the whispers. Duck stood in front of what used to be his barn. All that remained was a black skeleton of wood, drowned in mud. But he wasn't mourning anymore. He was planning. Hanoi, 120 miles away, in a cramped, smoke-filled cafe. Lon, a sharp-eyed investigative journalist, sat alone, until her phone buzzed. New email. Subject line. They're digging up more than dirt. Read now. She clicked it. From Duckman. Attached. Photos of signed papers. Land deals with redacted names. A map labeled Canal Point 3. Coordinates with one word circled. Caves. Her heart skipped. She recognized the coordinates. The same area that was locked off 12 years ago. When the military showed up for testing, Lon sat back. Something big was buried, and someone didn't want it found. Cho Village night. A town meeting, the largest in 10 years. Over 50 villagers crammed into the temple hall. Duck stood up. He didn't shout. He spoke plainly. Duck, they offered me money. When I refused, they burned my barn. This isn't about a canal anymore. It's about erasing us. Mr. Leem, who had taken the money, stood in the back, uneasy. Leem, what are you saying? That the company's trying to kill us? Duck, I'm saying the canal is a cover-up. There's something underground, something they need hidden. People murmured. Shilon, what do you want us to do? Duck, refuse the resettlement. Block the machines. And next week, we march to the city. We bring the truth to the cameras. James' office midnight. He watched footage from Cho Village. Drone clips, hidden cameras, audio recordings of Duke's speech. Next to him, on Ba John, waited for orders. James, they're organizing. Fast, on Ba. Want me to break it up? James calmly. No, let them march. Let them scream. He smiled. James, but when the media shows up, we'll already have the story ready. He turned his monitor to a mock news headline. Local villager incites violence over canal. Police forced to intervene. James to himself. And that's the version the world will believe. Next morning, Cho Village. The canal diggers arrived early. So did the resistance. Villagers formed a human chain around the excavation site. Mothers, elders, children with handmade signs. No canal without truth. This is our home. We will not move. Police showed up 2 hours later. At first they watched. Then they started pushing. Tensions rose. A single rock flew. No one knew who threw it. But it was the excuse police needed. Chaos erupted. Baton swings. Screams. A teenage boy knocked to the ground. Old Grandpa Tien shoved down, bleeding. And cameras caught it all. But not from Lan's team. From the company's hired crew. Carefully staged. Carefully edited. Back in Hanoi the next night, Lan watched national news in disbelief. Footage of the protest, but twisted. A narrator claimed. Today in Cho Village, a violent mob led by radical local Duk man clashed with police over a legal canal project designed to bring prosperity. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Distorted voice. If you publish Duke's files, you'll end up in the canal yourself. Lan's hands trembled, but she looked at her laptop at the documents, then clicked Upload to Cloud. She wasn't stopping. Cho Village, same night. Duk limped home, his face bruised, shirt torn, but his eyes burning with purpose. He found a small envelope at his door. Inside, a photograph of him from behind, walking in the forest, with a red X drawn over his back. Underneath, you should have taken the money. James' office, later that week. Deep stormed in. Deep. You lied to me. This isn't about progress. It's about covering up whatever's under that land. James didn't look up from his desk. James, you're smart, Deep. But you're naive. Deep. I'm out. James chuckled. You think you're not already in too deep? He tapped a folder on his desk. James. Loan documents. A signature on a transfer. You're already complicit. If this goes public, you'll go down with us. Deep froze. James leaned closer. James cold. You want to be a hero, Deep? There are no heroes in the mud. Final scene. Underground tunnel near Canal Point 3. On Ba and two contractors opened a sealed hatch. They climbed down into darkness. Their flashlights lit up crumbling walls. Markings in a foreign language. Rusty chains. And something else. Rows of sealed crates. On the side, a faded military symbol. A date, 1989. And the words, Project Phoenix. Onba radioed in. Onba. It's still here. James on radio. Good. Seal it again. And if Duk comes near it, pause. James. Make sure he disappears quietly. The noise they can't silence. Final scenes. 2 a.m. Lan's apartment, Hanoi. Rain dripped outside. Inside, Lan sat alone in front of her laptop, uploading Duke's evidence to an offshore server. She typed a message to her contact in Singapore. If I go quiet, drop everything to the international press. Use the name Phoenix. Suddenly, a knock at the door. Soft. Measured. Too calm for this hour. Lan reached for the knife on her desk. Another knock. Voice outside, male cold. You're playing a very dangerous game, Miss Lan. She didn't respond. Voice. Open the door. Or we open it for you. Lan backed into the kitchen and slipped out the back window, barefoot, heart racing. In the alley behind her apartment, a black SUV waited. Empty. Engine running. Lan vanished into the darkness. She knew one thing now. This wasn't about land. This was about something buried, and everyone connected to it was being silenced. Cho Village, sunrise. Duk stood on the edge of the construction zone. A bulldozer was humming nearby, but so was something else, a rumble beneath the earth. He crouched, pressed his palm to the soil. Then, a faint vibration, like something moving. Duk whispering, "What the hell is under here?" He looked up. Behind him, a boy with a slingshot. Boy, they came last night, took Mr. Tien, said he started the riot. Duk clenched his jaw. They weren't waiting anymore. They were erasing people. One by one. James' final scene, private room, Ho Chi Minh City. James sipped whiskey in a dark lounge. Next to him, a man with silver hair, face never shown, handed him a sealed envelope. Silver-haired man, your part is almost done. Once the canal reaches Site 9, we'll activate Phase 2. James, and the villagers? Silver-haired man shrugging. Collateral. Just make sure Duke doesn't live to tell the story." James nodded, and just before the man left, he turned and whispered, "Silver-haired man, whatever you do, don't open the crates. Even we don't know what's still alive in there." James froze, for the first time in weeks. He looked unnerved. Final image, a shot from beneath the earth. A camera slowly pushes in through a dark, buried tunnel. A light flickers. A pair of human eyes, pale, trembling, peek through a crack in the wall. We hear breathing, and chains being pulled. A voice, raspy and inhuman. "Let me out. Int. Abandoned train station, northern Vietnam night." The wind howled through the broken windows of the old station. Rain leaked through the ceiling. The walls were covered in peeling paint and moss. Lon crouched in the corner, using a flashlight and an old map. Beside her, Duke paced nervously. His phone was off. His hands still shook from what he saw under the soil. "Lon, I uploaded what I could, but they cut the server. We lost the full footage. Duke, it doesn't matter. What I felt under the canal, that wasn't just old piping or gas lines. That was alive, Lon. Breathing. Lon soft. James doesn't know the full story either. He's being used. Just like us." They both froze as the door creaked. A cloaked figure stepped inside, limping, soaked, and coughing. Duke raised a metal pipe. "Don't move." The man pulled back his hood. It was Tien, the village elder they thought had been taken. His eyes were sunken. His voice was raspy. "Tien, they didn't kill me. They wanted to know if I remembered." "Lon, remember what?" "Tien, 40 years ago, during the war, this village wasn't just a battlefield. It was an experiment site. A much younger Tien stood with other villagers, blindfolded, led underground. American soldiers, Vietnamese scientists, masks, glowing vials. Tien Vio. They told us it was medicine, a vaccine, but it was more. It was a weapon made to survive any terrain, any war. Inside, horrific tests played out, mutations, seizures, screaming. Those who survived didn't stay human for long. Back to present, train station. Tien, they buried the failure. But now someone wants to finish what they started. Duke, that's why the canal, it's not about water. It's about digging." Lon looked at her laptop. "Lon, James signed off on every site route, including one right through the sealed lab. Tien, he doesn't know, but the people behind him do. They don't want land, they want what's still alive below." Suddenly, the flashlight cut out. A low hiss echoed from the stairwell below. Duke whispered, "What was that?" Tien's voice shook. "They found us." Cut to CEO James' office, luxury high-rise, Ho Chi Minh City. James stared at a report. "Unauthorized movement detected. Site 9 perimeter breached." Next to it, a live feed flickered. He watched a figure crawl up the side of a canal wall, impossibly fast, something humanoid, but broken. "James, what have I signed onto?" His phone rang. Voice on the other end, calm, cold. Project Phoenix was never about infrastructure. It was about rebirth. James, softly. "Rebirth of what?" Voice. "Of what mankind fears to forget and fears even more to remember." Next morning, Cho Village ruins. Smoke drifted over the empty land. Villagers were gone. Homes flattened. Military trucks rolled through silently. Lon, Duke, and Tien watched from a distance, hiding. Tien handed Lon a sealed envelope. Old, stained, military issued. "Tien, this is the original protocol. The one they lost, the one they're killing for." Lon opened it. Her eyes widened. "Lon, this isn't just about Vietnam. They've done this in 9 other countries." Final image, inside the abandoned bunker. The camera pans over dusty cages. Claw marks on concrete. Whispers echo through the halls. Then, a hand slams against the glass of a sealed chamber. Inside, something no longer human stirs. And it's awake. The security outpost near the Cho Canal sat in silence. A single red light blinked on the surveillance monitor. Beep, beep, beep. Then static. Deep in the command room, 2 security officers, barely awake, sipped instant coffee. One leaned back, muttering, "Why are we still monitoring this damn canal? There's nothing out there." And in that exact moment, something slammed against the outer fence. Metal screeched. Power flickered. Alarm stayed silent. Meanwhile, James had just returned to his villa. He stood on the balcony overlooking the canal, trying to forget the horrors Mr. Duke confessed earlier about the experiments, the inhuman growling, and the failed Phoenix program. His phone buzzed. It was Lie Too Deep. "James, something's wrong. I'm outside Cho Station. There's no one here. The power's out. I heard something, like screaming underwater." James didn't hesitate. He grabbed his coat and keys, rushing into the night. Back at the canal, guards patrolling the inner research lab were gone. The hallway lights flickered violently. Surveillance feeds were dead. Inside a sealed chamber, the creature moved. The monstrous result of a failed biofusion project, intended to make superhumans from canal microbes and human DNA, was waking up. Its heart rate spiked. Its brain scans became unreadable. And then, the chamber doors buckled outward. Boom! Metal tore apart like wet paper. A roar erupted through the underground facility. The thing had escaped. Lie Too Deep, alone in the administrative wing, hid behind a desk. Her breathing was shallow. In the reflection of the glass wall, she saw it. A figure. Tall, twisted, covered in black slime, its body pulsing like it was half alive. It didn't see her yet. Then suddenly, a loud bang came from the corridor. James had arrived, and now they were trapped inside with it. Back at Cho Village, Mr. Duke stood silently at the edge of the canal. He held a small remote in his hand. His thumb hovered over a switch labeled Containment Protocol, Self-Destruct. But he didn't press it. Instead, he whispered, "Let the government see their monster." He walked away. Final moment of Chapter 6. James and Lie Too Deep lock themselves in a nearby office, barricading the door. The creature slams against it. The ceiling starts to crack. Lie whispers, "It wasn't meant to be a canal project. This was never about water supply. James, this was a test site." James, horrified, breathes. "A test for what?" Black fluid seeps under the door. Cut to black. Inside the administrative office, James holds Lie Too Deep tight, shielding her with his body as the mutated creature claws at the door. Each slam of its grotesque limbs sends splinters flying. Black ooze drips through the cracks. "We have to run," Lie whispers. James looks around. His eyes land on the narrow ventilation shaft above the cabinet. "Up there. It's our only way out." Meanwhile, deep in the forested outskirts of Cho Village, villagers sleep peacefully, unaware. A lone farmer, Bao, walks the bamboo path with his flashlight, heading home late from the rice fields. He hums a quiet folk tune, then hears splashing. He turns. Nothing. Then a whisper. Not a voice. Not human. Something wet and guttural. "Ha-ahomamea." Suddenly, from the shadows between the bamboo stalks, it strikes. The creature lunges from the canal's irrigation path, pulling Bao into the mud. One scream, then silence. Only a single sandal remains. Back in the facility, James and Lie crawl through the vent. Lie grips the files she found, marked Project Namjia. Inside are pages of genetic modifications, maps of the canal, and names of the victims labeled as failed trials. "James," she gasps, "they've done this before. Years ago. Different villages. All vanished from records." James replies, "This whole land was chosen not for water, but for isolation." They drop out into a storage chamber. It's lined with old masks, lab suits, and empty 4 bags. Suddenly, an old speaker on the wall crackles to life. "Warning. Containment breach. Protocol Fuanghong has failed." Lie clutches James. Fuanghong means phoenix, but this thing didn't rise. It mutated. Cut to the Cho Village market. Lights begin to flicker. The elder, Mrs. Han, walks out with a lantern. Her grandson, little Du Wei, clutches her skirt. "Baoi, Grandma. Something's wrong with the river." She sees it. Black mist rising, fish floating upside down, and in the distance, 2 red eyes. Elsewhere, Mr. Duck watches through binoculars from a hill. He makes a call. Deploy the silencers. It's loose. The CEO must not know yet. On the other end, a cold voice replies. CEO James is already inside. Duke's face changes. Then he dies with it. Back in the facility, James and Lai discover a hidden chamber, Archive B. Inside, videos of test subjects turning violent, audio logs of screams. One final clip, a child, strapped down, whispering, "I see the water, it's alive." Lai stares at a screen that shows the Cho Canal spreading black veins through the surrounding land. James, it's infecting everything. Crops, soil, even the people. Suddenly, the alarms stop. Silence falls, but it's not safety. It's hunting time. Final scenes. James and Lai exit the facility through the rear waste tunnel, emerging by the village shrine. Smoke rises in the distance. Screams echo. Villagers run in chaos. Children cry. And from the fog, the creature steps out, dragging the limp body of a soldier. Its eyes lock on Lai. "It remembers me," she whispers. James loads the only weapon he found, a single tranquilizer dart. One shot. That's all he has. And he fires. Cut to black. Heartbeat sounds. Then, James carries Lai on his back through the rice fields. She's unconscious. Her arm grazed by the creature before it collapsed. The dart worked, but only temporarily. They reach the village temple, where the monk, Thay Tuan, opens the gates. Bring her in. Quickly. Inside the candlelit room, villagers huddle with children, whispering prayers. But James notices something strange. A boy sitting silently, eyes wide, sketching the monster over and over on rice paper. His name is Min, Lee's cousin. Barely 10. He saw it, Thay Tuan explains. Long before it came. James kneels. "Min, what do you know?" The boy doesn't answer with words. He flips the page. A drawing of a map. One James recognizes, the underground tunnels. "He's drawing the layout of the facility," James mutters. "How?" Min finally speaks. "It talks in my dreams." Meanwhile, in a military bunker outside the province, Mr. Duck stands before a digital table with red blinking dots, each one a possible escape path from the village. He slams his fist. "Seal everything. No one leaves. And prepare the airstrike." His advisor hesitates. "What about CEO James?" "He's compromised. And the child?" Duck turns, especially the child. Back in Cho Village, a new horror emerges. The creature's body, left unconscious in the canal, begins to dissolve. Not rot. Multiply. The black sludge breaks into dozens of eel-like creatures, slithering toward the rice paddies. Farmers spot them too late. One man runs, but the creatures burrow beneath his skin. He collapses, twitching, then rises. Different. Eyes blackened. Skin blistered. The first infected. At the temple, Lai wakes up. Her fever has broken, but she feels different. She touches her shoulder where the creature struck her. Veins blacken faintly beneath the skin. James sees it, but says nothing. Min walks up to her and whispers, "It gave you something." Lee's breath shakes. "What do you mean?" "You're connected now. It doesn't want to kill you. It wants to speak." James makes a decision. "We leave tonight. We take Min, we go to Hanoi, expose everything. I know a contact at the foreign press." Lai agrees, though something in her eyes says she's hiding a truth. Maybe she's not entirely herself anymore. Night falls. They sneak through the shadows, past infected villagers twitching in their homes, through rice fields crawling with movement. James carries Min. Lai holds a homemade lantern filled with salt, one of the few things that repels the creatures. But then, a helicopter shines its spotlight. Duke's voice comes through a megaphone. "Stop where you are." James shields Min. "You're going to kill everyone just to bury this." Duke replies, "You don't understand. It's not just one mutation. It's a hive." Gunfire erupts. Villagers loyal to Duke open fire. Lai screams, and something inside her activates. Her veins flash black. Her scream shatters the lantern and sends out a shockwave. The attackers fall back, noses bleeding. Even James stares at her. "Lai, what was that?" She's shaking. Her eyes flash for a moment. I don't know, but I think I can control it. Final scene. Min looks at James. She's changing, but she's still good. James nods, then looks at the horizon. We move before dawn. They disappear into the trees. Behind them, Cho Village burns. And under the moonlight, a new voice rises from the darkness. Not human, not machine, something ancient. Awake again. After escaping Cho Village, James, Lai, and Min make their way to Hanoi, the bustling capital where power and secrets collide. James reaches out to his contact at a major foreign news agency, hoping to expose the cover-up and the dangerous experiments behind the creature attack. But the stakes are higher than they imagined. At a sleek government building, shadowy figures monitor their movements. The experiment's masterminds, the Namjia Protocol Task Force, are ready to silence any threat. Among them is Mr. Duc, whose influence now stretches far beyond the village. In a tense meeting, government officials debate how to spin the story, fearful that news of the mutations and infected villagers will cause public panic and threaten their political standing. They decide to brand the incident a localized ecological anomaly, pushing propaganda to control the narrative. Meanwhile, James prepares his evidence, a collection of videos, satellite images, and Min's drawings, aiming to blow the lid off the conspiracy. Lee's recovery is far from over. Her body reacts to the infection in unexpected ways. As the black veins pulse under her skin, she starts to develop strange new abilities, enhanced strength, heightened senses, and an inexplicable connection to the infected creatures. One night, Min witnesses Lai communicating with the creatures through faint telepathic whispers. She reveals she can control them, at least partially. It's like they're part of me, Lai says quietly. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. James worries about what this means. If Lai loses control, she could become the very threat they're fighting against. At the same time, Min discovers a secret code hidden in the creature drawings he made, revealing coordinates and dates, signaling that the Namjia Protocol is planning a wider release of the virus. James and his allies try to rally support from international media, but the Namjia Protocol uses every tool to stop them. Cyber attacks erase their communications, and anonymous threats intimidate witnesses. The foreign press starts doubting James' story, calling it a conspiracy theory. The government cracks down harder, accusing James of espionage. Meanwhile, Lee's powers grow stronger but more volatile. She collapses one night, writhing in pain, and her vision blurs between reality and the creature's hive mind. Min is caught spying on a high-level meeting and barely escapes capture. The stakes grow deadlier as the trio realizes they're outmatched. With time running out, James arranges a secret press conference. Min decodes the final coordinates, the location of the central lab where the virus originated. They infiltrate the lab, discovering horrifying experiments, humans fused with the creature's DNA, soldiers turned into weapons. Lai fights to keep her humanity, resisting the infection's pull. James broadcasts live, exposing the truth to the world. But Mr. Duc arrives with armed guards, intent on stopping them. In a desperate battle, Lai unleashes her full powers, protecting James and Min. The broadcast goes viral, forcing governments to respond. The Namjia Protocol is shut down for now, but the infection has spread beyond containment and the world will never be the same. The city lights of Hanoi flickered through the rain as James, Lai too deep, and Min slipped into the crowded streets. The air was thick with tension, not just from the weather, but from the weight of the secret they carried. James clutched a small USB drive tightly in his palm. It contained hours of recorded interviews, videos from the villagers, and detailed notes from Min's sketches. Every piece was a thread in the dangerous tapestry they hoped to unravel. In a dimly lit cafe, James met with a trusted foreign journalist, Elena. He explained everything: the failed canal project, the mutations, the Namjia Protocol experiments that blurred ethical lines, and Lee's infection. This isn't just a local issue anymore, James said, voice low. This is a national cover-up. If it spreads, it could endanger millions. Elena's eyes grew wide as she scrolled through the files. We'll need corroboration, sources, proof. But behind the scenes, their movements were being watched. At a sleek government complex, Mr. Duke stood among high-ranking officials. His expression was cold, calculating. The narrative must be controlled, he ordered. No leaks, no panic. The people must trust that the state has everything under control. His phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. James and his team are close. Eliminate the threat. Lee's nights were restless. As her body healed, the infection wove itself deeper into her veins. The blackened veins snaked up her arms, pulsing with an eerie light. One evening, as Min prepared dinner in their small rented apartment, Lai suddenly stood still, her eyes distant and unfocused. Do you feel it? She whispered. The creatures. I can hear them, like voices in my head. Min froze. You mean you can talk to them? Not exactly, but I can sense them. Their anger, their pain, and somehow I can influence them. James frowned. Lai, that sounds dangerous. What if you lose control? Lai shook her head. I'm fighting it. But this connection, it's a part of me now. Meanwhile, Min's investigations deepened. Buried in the drawings he'd made was a hidden code, a map pointing to several locations where experiments had been conducted. They're planning to expand, Min warned. The canal was just the beginning. James' jaw clenched. Then we have to act fast. James tried to get the international media on their side, but the Namjia protocol struck back hard. Their emails were hacked. Phone lines went dead. Anonymous threats arrived at their doorsteps. Elena's newsroom pressured her to drop the story, labeling it a conspiracy theory. James' name was slandered online. Even trusted allies pulled away, fearing the consequences. Lee's condition worsened. During one agonizing night, she convulsed violently, her eyes glowing in the dark. I'm slipping, she gasped. The infection, it wants to take over. Min, desperate, snuck into a government building to gather more evidence. Almost caught, he barely escaped, leaving behind a trail of clues for James and Lai to follow. The city had become a maze of threats. Every step forward was met with resistance from unseen forces. With nowhere left to turn, James organized a secret press conference in an abandoned warehouse. Min hacked into a nearby broadcast tower, ready to live stream the horrifying truths they had uncovered. Together, they infiltrated the central lab where the Namjia protocol conducted their darkest experiments. Inside, they found humans fused with the creature's DNA, test subjects in various stages of mutation. Lai fought to retain her humanity as the infection surged through her. Her hands glowed with dark energy, yet she held firm. Suddenly, armed guards led by Mr. Duke stormed the lab. You can't stop what's already begun, Duke sneered. A fierce battle erupted. Lai unleashed her powers, tearing through the guards with a speed and strength no ordinary human possessed. James kept the broadcast live, speaking directly to the camera. The world needs to know. This is no isolated incident. This is a warning. The live stream went viral. Public outcry forced governments to intervene. The Namjia protocol was officially disbanded, but the virus had spread too far. Infected creatures lurked in hidden pockets, waiting. As James, Lai, and Min regrouped, they knew their fight was just beginning. The dim glow of fluorescent lights flickered overhead in the abandoned warehouse-turned-command center. James stood at the center, his eyes scanning the dozens of faces gathered around, all united by one common goal: exposing the truth behind the Namjia protocol and stopping the growing threat. Lai, too deep, her body still marked by the infection's sinister black veins, sat quietly in a corner. Though her eyes flickered with unnatural energy, her resolve remained unshaken. Min was busy coordinating with Elena, who was preparing to livestream their biggest revelation yet. A live broadcast showing undeniable proof of the horrific experiments and the mutated creatures lurking in the shadows. James took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything they had been through. The betrayals, the near captures, Lee's battle with the infection, and the silence from the outside world all led to this moment. Today, James said firmly, his voice steady despite the tension, we are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for every innocent person whose life has been shattered by lies, for every farmer who lost their land, every family that suffered because of those in power who put greed before humanity. Lai stood, the dark veins on her arms pulsing with power, and nodded. I feel the infection inside me trying to take control. but I refuse to let it win. We have to expose the truth, no matter the cost. Minutes later, the cameras started rolling. Elena's voice echoed across live feeds worldwide as James stepped forward. What you're about to see is not fiction. It's the result of a secret project called the Namjia Protocol, an experiment gone horribly wrong, endangering not just a small village, but potentially the entire country. Videos played, showing mutilated crops, deformed creatures, and terrified villagers. The footage moved to the lab's hidden files, photos of mutation experiments, and documents detailing how the infection spread. Suddenly, the broadcast cut to live footage from the central lab. James, Lai, and Min, armed and prepared, infiltrated the facility. The door slammed behind them as security forces realized the breach. Gunshots echoed. Lai moved faster than any human, deflecting blows, her hands glowing with dark energy. She protected James and Min as they hacked terminals, downloading all evidence. Mr. Duke appeared, smug but furious. You think this ends here? The virus is the future. The power is unstoppable. Lee's voice rang out, fierce and unyielding. No, the future is the truth, and it's ours to decide. With a final burst of strength, Lai unleashed a shockwave, disabling the guards and forcing Duke to retreat. The broadcast reached millions. The public was outraged. Governments couldn't ignore the scandal. Investigations began. The Namjia Protocol was shut down. Aid flowed to the affected farmers and communities. Lee's infection remained, but she used her new strength to protect those in need, becoming a symbol of hope amid darkness. James continued to expose corruption, while Min documented everything to ensure history would never repeat itself. This story isn't over, but today we took a stand. To everyone watching, never let fear silence you. Stand up, speak out, and fight for what's right. Because in the end, truth and courage will always prevail. If you've been moved by James, Lai, and Min's story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. There are many more stories of courage, mystery, and truth waiting to be told, and you won't want to miss a single one. Leave a comment below. What would you do if faced with a choice between power and humanity? Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you for watching, and remember, the fight for justice begins with you.